Hey guys, how we doing? Today I'm going to take a look at the Soul of Chogokin, GX-71 Voltron, Voltron Defender of the Universe. This was released a few years back and then reissued about a year or two ago. I finally was able to get my hands on it back in around April. But this is part of the Soul of Chogokin line, which is an excellent robot toy line. Super expensive, but they are super awesome. So here we got the box. It's a very nice box. It's Voltron here forming a blazing sword. It's got, the logo on there. Bandai Tamashii, Soul Chogokin. There it's the 5 lions, and it says Go Lion. I'll get to that in a second. Back of the box, a bunch of images, Voltron, alternate faces, lions, or sticker set if you want to use it. Stand for the weapons, pictures. Voltron Go Lion. The reason it says Go Lion is because this is actually... This is actually the slip cover. So, you can see there. This is the Japanese box, and it says Go Lion. But because he was called Voltron here in America, they gave us a slip cover for it to say Voltron, which I think was kind of cool. They didn't have to do that, and I kind of wish the Megazord box something like that instead, but whatever. That's not what we're here to talk about. So, box out of the way, we can actually look at the lions themselves. I have Voltron's 5 lions. I have them all with their weapons here because it's going to make my life easier later. So we're going to start with, we'll just go in number order. So here we have the Black Lion. Black Lion is the, he forms the main body of Voltron, and he's piloted by Keith. And he's really cool. He's heavy. I mean, he is super heavy. There's metal all over these things. If you use your cold touch technique and just feel the parts that are cold, there's metal all over these guys, but it's awesome. And they look really cool. We're going to go ahead and take the weapons off. And there's actually storage for these, which I'm going to show you later, but there's storage for all the weapons. And now, he's got paint all over the place. These things are super detailed, super painted. I don't have the original Voltron to compare it to, but I did when I was a kid, and this blows that out of the water. But articulation-wise, his head can completely turn, can look down, can look up. His mouth opens up. Arg. His paws, his legs can rotate. Up, down. Legs turn. His tail is on a ball joint, so it can turn. His waist can kind of bend a little bit. Legs can go up, down. Back legs pretty much the same as the front legs. This piece does move in case you wanted to get him to be like a sitting little kitty. You could do that if you wanted to. I didn't even try there, but it is something you can do if you want to do it. So now we'll move on to number 2, the Red Lion, piloted by Lance. He's got his weapons, which again I'm going to remove. He is a good bit smaller than the Black Lion, for reasons that we'll get to later, but he's one of the smaller ones. But it doesn't take away anything. I'm going to go over the articulation on this one because him and Green Lion are pretty much the same. So he's got complete waist crunch. Legs forward, back, bend at the knee. His paws move. His tail moves up and down, and it can pop off. And then his tail can turn, obviously. Same with the front legs, or same with the back legs. His neck can look up and down. His head can turn completely. His mouth can open and close. And that's pretty much it for him. Then we got number 3, the Green Lion, piloted by Pidge. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've watched Voltron. But, anywho, he looks really cool. He's adorable. They're all adorable little lions. And he's like, hey, how you doing? I'm the Green Lion. We got number 4, the Blue Lion, who was piloted by Princess Allura and then originally Sven, but I think he died. Now this one looks really, they all look really cool. I think this is probably, besides the Black Lion, it might be my favorite looking one. I'm not sure why. I think I just like the chunkiness. I like chunks. My girlfriend's kitties are chunks, so I have a thing for fat kitties. But it looks really cool. So its head all the way. Its mouth opens. Legs. They all pretty much have the same articulation. And then we have the Yellow Lion piloted by Hunk. Who, again, as all of them, he looks really cool. He's a very good representation of Yellow Lion. So they all look really cool. Like, I like the look of them a lot. This by itself is a really good display. Like, you can display these 5 lions and just be like, yeah, lion Voltron action. But who wants to do that? So before we get to the main event, I want to show you guys this. This is a stand that stores all of his weapons. And it's got Voltron on there. You can also replace that logo with the Japanese logo if you wanted to. And these weapons have storage spots all over this. So first off, we're going to pull this out and this off. Put that together. I'll be coming back to this later. But so you take this thing, and it's got spaced out spots for all the pieces. So you can put Black Lion's guns right there. You can put Red Lion's guns. Is that it? No. Put Red Lion's guns here. Green Lion's weapons will go here. And you're going to store that in there. On this side, you can put, I think these are Yellow Lion's weapons. Then over here, we could put Blue Lion's weapons. And from here, you can store the main weapons. So yellow's goes here, blue's here, green here, red here, and black will go right there. So that's a really cool display, I think. It makes so you don't have to keep a bunch of stuff in the box. You can just display this and still have everything going. So now, I think it's time to get on to the main event here. The reason you even buy a Voltron set is for Voltron. So, I'm not even going to try to mimic the show's combination. We'll go ahead and start with the leg lions. So, you can fold, you got to fold the legs up in the back. Turn the tail around. That's always stiff on mine, so be careful. Turn that around. Fold the head up to about there. Open that up, collapse these legs in, and fold them up like that. And you can go ahead and open this back panel and push that piece in so it's closed out like, or opened up like that. And there you go. Got a leg. And blue is exactly the same. It's not particularly difficult to transform, but Voltron was never really difficult to transform. So all right, so now we got some Voltron leg action going on. Boom. Side, I'll take our green lion, collapse his legs in, fold them up. Fold this down and turn the tail around. And you can turn his waist that way, pull that up so then you can get his elbow joint, and then push the head in. Red lion is very much the same. All right. Black lion, as with most combinations like this, the core robot, the core piece is a little more complicated. So you're gonna want to straighten his legs out, fold these pieces up, fold that tail in, and collapse his waist. Now, turn this whole assembly around like that. Push it in. Oh, I forgot a step. Alright, so open this door rather. Fold these pieces. Collapse his legs in and then close it up and then push that in. I don't know how I forgot that. It's gonna look like that. Push that in, and then you can straighten those out. Then take these levers right here, and you want to push them in. And it takes a little bit of doing, but you push these in until they click, and then that'll actually hold the shoulders in place. So now let's go ahead and bring them together. So take your yellow line, there's a button back here, hold that button, drop it right there, and then close that back leg up. Do the same thing over here. And now I gotta raise the camera. Back him up a little bit so you can see everything going on. Take the arms, and plug them into the side, and now push fold his head up, push his neck in, open his lion mouth up, and fold out his ears. And then, boom, you have the mighty Voltron or Go Line, depending on what you want to call him. And holy crap, I love this thing so much. Like, the pictures of it didn't do it justice. When I first saw the pictures, I was like, oh, okay, it's another Voltron. But then I saw reviews, and they were like glowing about how awesome this thing was. I was like, is it really? So when I finally had some money, I bought it. I was able to afford it, so I bought it. I was like, oh, yeah. This thing is, wow. It's big, though. It's the biggest soul Chogokin I have. For sure. Here he is next to standard SH figure art. Here he is next to a leader class transformer. What else do I have here? Here he is next to a straw. There you go. He's pretty tall. Articulation wise, he's a soft Chogokin robot. He has a pretty fair amount. He's got an ab crunch, which is pretty cool. His head can pretty much look any way you want it to. It can look up, can look down slightly, can turn, you know, that sort of thing. His arms, full 360. Would if the wings didn't get away, which you could always just be like, boom. You can go out, you can go in, elbow. He's got double elbow, wrist, turn, hands open, but not, I covered all that with the lions. His legs, forward, back, and the fact that his legs can even hold up with all that weight a little bit is impressive. He's got a single knee joint though, not a double, which is kind of disappointing, but I get it because he's made of metal. He's got ankle rotation. He's got a lower knee bend. And he's got an ankle joint right there. So you can get him into some pretty cool poses if you wanted to. I don't typically pose Soul of Chogokins. But, you know, you can if you wanted to. His accessories in this mode are these little swords. Which I don't particularly care for. But hey, he can use them. So that's cool. You can also double hold them. So if you want him to hold both of them at once, like a lance, you could do it. He's got his throwing star, because I know it looks like a shield, but it's not a shield. It's like a throwing star. He never uses it as a shield. It's too small to be protective anyway, but it's a weapon. Before we get on to the main one, he has a face swap gimmick. So you pull the face off. Slide his yelling face on. I mean, it's kind of cool that they include that, but I usually just keep the neutral face on. And I mean, I like the idea of swapping faces. A lot of my Masterpiece Transformers have swappable face gimmicks. So, I mean, it's a cool feature. And the most important one, though, is the Blazing Sword, which he looks awesome with. When you can get it in his hand. There's a recording curse when it comes to recording toy videos, I swear. Back him up a little bit so you can see that. That just looks incredible. He is such an amazing figure. But the thing about him that I can't completely recommend him with is the price. Now, before I talk more about that, there's just one last thing I want to show you about the stand. So, down here, in this section that I'm pointing at, you could store the other face. You could store, darn. don't know why it's not staying on there. But you could store the shield or the throwing, whatever it is. Store right there. The handle for it can store over here. The smaller swords can store there, and you can store the blazing sword on top like that. So it's actually a really, really nice looking display, but I typically just keep the blade. I usually leave everything in there except the blazing sword. I keep him with the blazing sword when I display him. So anyway, back to Voltron proper. So he is pretty much out of stock everywhere. His retail price was $300, which is expensive, but when you see how it's made, what it's made of, and how big it is, and how heavy it is, because this thing has got some weight to it. The cost does make sense. But now on the aftermarket, he is really bad. I think mine cost me like $400 something. I think around like $420. I think something like that. It was expensive, but I was only able to get that because I had overtime pay because of the coronavirus pandemic. So there's another good thing that came out of the pandemic. I got Chogokin Voltron out of it. But if you can find it for the original retail price, I do definitely recommend it, especially if you're a Voltron fan. I grew up with Voltron. Like, I watched the show a lot as a kid. I had the original toy. That's as far as my Voltron fan base goes, though. Like, I've not ever, like, followed any other ones. I didn't watch, like, the Third Dimension. Okay, I watched a little bit of the Third Dimension, I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't watch the Vehicle Voltron series. I didn't watch, like, any of the reboots, any of the new ones. I haven't seen any of all that. My fan base stops when I was a kid. So I can't say I'm a Voltron fan aside from the original, like, character. Like, I just like this design a lot. He's one of my favorite super robots. But as a figure, it is in my top 5 in my collection for sure. Maybe even top 3. Yeah, somewhere around there. I may do a separate video on my top figures in my collection, but he is definitely up there. He is fantastic. I love him. I would highly recommend getting this figure if you can afford it. If you can't, I get it. But if you can, I say he's worth it. He will take a pride place on your display, and you will be so happy you bought him. Now, unlike a lot of other super robots, there's no add-ons for him. Like, he doesn't have, like, a Dragon Zord or a Goldie Marg or something like that to combine with him. What you see is what you get. So that might be a little bit put off. I personally do like when robots combine with other robots. I always liked that concept. I always thought it was cool. That's why, like, the Masterpiece Great X Kaiser is, like, that's probably my second favorite figure in my collection, if not my favorite. Because that thing is just... This thing is just a thing. This figure is just a figure of brilliance, but that's a review for another day. But this video is about Voltron, and I really, really do recommend getting him if you are a fan. Or if you just like combining robots, like a lot of Sentai robots clearly got their inspiration from this guy. So, Gokaiyo is clearly the Voltron design, like base core, like main body, and everything else is a limb. Shinkedo's the same way. A lot of Sentai robots do that, so they clearly got it from Voltron, because Voltron was the pioneer of that style combination. But I think that's going to be it for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and tune in for next time. Take care.